Let's just start for all those nice people who are on front.
That's good.
Hello!
Hello.
How's everybody doing tonight? Excellent. So I'll have a slightly longer introduction, but maybe I don't know. So I will, like everybody, so I'll introduce myself, and I'd like to tell you, or you to tell me your favorite movie and why it's your favorite movie. Okay? So, my name is Jeremiah Lind. I'd say where you're from. I'm from Bemidji. And my favorite movie is Spartacus because it's really long. Sorry,
Alright, I'm Gage. I'm from Bemidji, and my favorite movie is Ready Player One because I'm into the video game themed movies.
Cool. Cool. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mike, and I'm from LaPorte, so not too far away from here. My favorite movie is Jurassic Park, the first one, because I have fondest memories of that. 5 times in the theater, and just the most influential part of my upbringing, in a way.
Awesome. Yeah, fantastic. Thank you.
You're next, Ben.
Okay, so my name is Finn. I'm from Bemidji.
Go have a seat.
I guess the fourth Harry Potter.
Okay. I haven't seen that one. I have to play that. Why is it your favorite? Why is it your favorite?
I'm just like a big Harry Potter fan, but I honestly have way more favorite books, but
Cool.
there aren't any.
Yeah.
Those are just why that's my favorite.
Okay. Great. Thank you. I'm sorry. We're doing name, where you're from, your favorite movie, and why. I'm Jeremiah Lynn. I'm from Bemidji. My favorite movie is Spartacus because it's long. Please.
I'm Jennifer. I live here in Bemidji. My favorite movie.
What's a movie you've watched more than twice?
I've watched more than twice. I probably watched Ghost more than twice.
Oh.
Why don't you slide over there a little bit?
Yeah. It's Patrick Swayze.
Crazy for Swayze.
Cool. Thank you. We're going around. We're saying our name, where we're from, our favorite movie, and why. I'm Jeremiah Lynn. I'm from Bemidji. My favorite movie is Spartacus because it's long.
Okay. Ken Schreiber. I'm actually from Iowa. I only work in Bemidji, but that was 30-some years ago. So. My favorite movie is probably 2010.
Oh,
Sequel 2001.
Thank you.
My name is Hope. I am from Solway, and I don't really have a favorite, but I really like Jurassic Park because it has a lot of scary parts. And
No
it's-
ceilings. No. Good answer. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Barbara. I'm from Bemidji, and I don't know about movies, but one movie that I really like, one of the ones I can think of right now is Despicable Me.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
What those little dudes are fun.
Yeah. Thank you.
My name is Ella, and I'm from Minneapolis. And my favorite movie is Mamma Mia, because the original, because it's really good.
Cool.
I'm Ben. I'm from Solway. My favorite, I don't really have a favorite movie, but it's either the Star Wars trilogy or Lord of the Rings / Hobbit. Mainly because of the hand-to-hand combat and whatever else.
Cool. I saw Solo last night for the first time. That was really cool. Really enjoyed that. Okay. Thank you, everybody. And I'm awful with things, so that's why I do these things. I appreciate you all sharing that. So now to tell you a little bit more about myself and why I'm handling the stage combat for this show. So my name is Jeremiah Lind. I'm an artist and scientist educator from Bemidji. I originally learned I originally started college at Bemidji State. I then transferred to the American Musical and Dramatic Academy in New York. That's where I received my training in stage combat. I was a participant in their studio acting program, and they had daily, hour-long stage combat as a process of a 5-day-a-week training. So I learned from professionals for 2 years, and then after moving on to performance, I would direct and choreograph my own sword fighting in a variety of shows. My first was Romeo and Juliet. I've also done choreography for Titus and Andronicus. Shakespeare Abridged. I don't know if anybody's heard of that show. I did the sword choreography for that as well. I have my Bachelor of Science in Theater Arts, and I have my Master of Liberal Studies degree, studying how sustainable science and theater intersect. And historically, this is a fun fact, I have people who sword fought going all the way back to the 12th century. I've had relatives that fought at Agincourt and Bosworth, and someday Google those places because it's pretty fascinating, if not really awful. In 2008, I directed Camelot for the Bemidji High School. That doesn't seem like 10 years ago, but it was. That was a fantastic experience. It was the first musical that I'd ever directed. My first show that I ever directed was for Bemidji Community Theater. It was a show called The Christmas Angel, and that was in 2003. I love Camelot. I think it's a fantastic musical. I chose it for my first musical because it represents really classic Broadway. It's grand, it's long, there's fantastic songs in it, and when you put people like Julie Andrews and Richard Harrison and Robert Goulet on the stage together, it doesn't make 3 hours seem long. That's your job being in Camelot, is to make 3 hours not seem like a long time. So in this show, you will all at one point know that you're playing knights. And so just to give you a little background about knights, anybody can be a knight, that's the thing. Legally, you have to have a sovereign name you a knight, tap you on the shoulder with a sword, typically. But in fact, as errants, anybody can be a knight, because knights operate with basically 3 core components. They have a code, which includes a code of honor or a code of conduct. They have a higher purpose or sovereign king that they serve, and they have a quest of some kind, quite often. Sometimes these quests were for causes, and sometimes these quests were for items, and sometimes these quests are impossible, as you can ask Don Quixote. But in our role in this show, we all have to understand what it is to be a knight, to operate by a code of honor, and to put ourselves towards a higher purpose. And the higher purpose in all of this is to serve the show. Well, our ultimate goal is to entertain the audience. As a director of shows and a director of choreography, our job is to transport the audience to a place that they could never actually go. Nobody can go back to medieval England and show whether or not Arthur existed. All that we can do is imagine what it's like. And our job as actors is to take that imagination and bring it into the world. As knights, you will all have to learn a fundamental amount of choreography. So one note for people who may have come late, we're only going to be doing 2 hours today. I have a shoulder injury that's causing me some problems, and Kirk Karstens, who will be assisting with the show, also wanted to help with the weapons combat. So today the goal is to go over some of these basic concepts, general terminology, and then some basic footwork and general terms.
2 hours. It will be 2 hours today. All right, very good. I apologize for the tardiness, it was not long. Go sit down. Thanks.
Okay, welcome. Would you please mind telling us your first name, where you're from, your favorite movie, and why? My name is Jeremiah Lynn. My favorite movie is Spartacus. I'm from Bemidji, and I like Spartacus because it's long.
Yeah. My name is Inara. I'm from Bemidji, and my favorite movie is
Oh yes, where you're from?
I'm from Bemidji, and one of my favorite movies is Napoleon Dynamite because it makes zero sense.
Good, good.
Sorry.
Oh wait, geez, they're like ninjas. They keep coming. Yes.
My name is Megan Coxter, and I'm from Bemidji. And my favorite movie is probably any of the Harry Potter movies because I just love like the magic.
Cool. All right. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. So today we're going to not do the second part today. I want to go over just some basic introductory information and then do some basic movement. And I also want to make sure that next week, when we start getting weapons in our hands of some kind, that everybody is dressed appropriately. So, the weapons that we will be using in this show are our hands. Hand-to-hand combat is the most fundamental and basic combat that every stage combat or practitioner learns. We will be using daggers in the bedroom scene when Mordred interrupts Lancelot and Guinevere. And we will be using swords in the final battle where Guinevere is at the stake. And people line up. Yes.
I thought that the squares were using quarterstaffs.
We may have quarterstaff.
We will have quarterstaffs.
Yeah.
Ben is making quarterstaffs.
Got one done.
Okay. Okay. So to talk a little bit about each of those weapons, our hand-to-hand skills will focus largely on footwork, throwing and receiving punches, learning how to work with partners, and learning safety measures to put into place so that nobody is harmed. My most important job in all stage combat is to make sure that everybody is safe. And any stage combat that you do is dangerous. Any of it. People have been permanently injured by something as simple as falling to their knees on the stage. And falling to your knees is stage combat. Anytime you're thrown, anytime you tumble, anytime that you do anything but stand and talk, essentially, can be considered stage combat to some degree. And that danger becomes exponential when you add in trying to incorporate partners or multiple partners. And so we start with basic hand-to-hand combat as a means of making sure that we aren't putting deadly weapons in hands. The next weapon that some of us will be using are daggers. These will be our training daggers. We also have others that may just be used for show. Daggers are one of the most accessible and fundamental weapons, particularly in the medieval period. Non-noble people could typically get a hold of farm implements that could be deadly, but they could also get a hold of daggers. It was an accessible weapon. And in the court, you were not allowed to carry a sword typically. In courtly knighthood, typically the code of conduct is within a castle, you were only allowed to carry a dagger. And as well, on combat on the field, oftentimes battles were decided by a dagger. The other weapon that we will then be using during the final fight are swords. We have 8 of these, what I would refer to as composite swords. They're not plastic, they're a breed of fiberglass that is shatter resistant and relatively safe to use. The alternative.
Chance to touch these?
Yeah, why don't you pass them
the
over?
same, even though the blades are different color, they're the
He
same
painted
material?
this.
Oh,
These are just painted. This sword was used in my most recent original production, Rapid Post-Apocalyptic Pulitzer Prize in Roma, and they are a hand-and-a-half sword, cold steel one. We will also be using metal swords. They're not here today, but we want to ensure to avoid that for people unless absolutely necessary. Metal swords are awesome, but they're also very deadly. So to talk a little bit about this in all seriousness and frankness, the minute that you disrespect this weapon, it will kill you. The greatest swordsman who ever lived, Miyamoto Musashi, lived in feudal Japan and won over 60 duels to the death. And towards the latter half of his career, he stopped using his swords and used nothing but wooden sticks to kill his opponents. In his most famous battle with Kojiro, He arrived late, having rown over to a secluded island where they had the duel, and on the way he took one of the boat oars, chopped it up, and that was his weapon. He killed his opponent Gojira with a single blow to the head. Far less weapons have been used to deadly effect, so when you hold it, respect it. These models, you can handle the blade. You can touch them, you can move them around. If they're not painted, you could probably install them, but I wouldn't recommend it. The metal versions, avoid holding the blade at any cost unless you're wearing gloves. The acids in your hand will permanently and irreparably damage the blade, to some degree. It begins as a tarnish, then it turns to a rust, and then you have swords that look like mine. And it's a sad experience. And we want to respect weapons and make them last for as long as possible. This is true of both knights and performers. The history of stage combat is long and storied and goes back to ancient times, when people would depict battles between gods for groups of people, when they would come into conflict. This is actually more in terms of global theater. In Grecian theater, actually, typically violence was handled off stage, and people would come on and tell somebody about it in the form of a messenger. Moving forward then, the real practitioners, the original practitioners of Western, what we would call Western stage combat, were Shakespearean actors. Elizabethan and Shakespearean actors incorporated fencing of the day into their live performances in a way that provided a way for an audience to witness a real battle. And Shakespeare enjoyed keystoning particularly his historic plays with large, spectacular battles that incorporated huge amounts of people interacting with swords on stage. During Shakespeare's times, most people carried a sword. And it is claimed that if somebody was dueling on stage and wasn't doing a good enough job as an actor, audience members would challenge them and come on stage and they would be forced to defend themselves from audience members if they weren't doing a convincing enough job. We will hope to avoid that in this show. Modern stage combat is regulated in varying ways, but in the United States at least, we have the Society of American Fight Directors, or the SAFD. And they provide a basic standard training and certification in a variety of weapons, primarily what we're using today, as well as rapier and rapier dagger. If you're interested in that, you can search the interwebs, or you can ask me and I can direct you to further instruction if you're interested. Next week when we come, we won't be doing anything particularly rigorous today that would necessarily tear clothing, but the reason I want you to wear clothing that's able to move is I don't want you to damage your clothing with anything. So ideally what we want to wear is comfortable clothing that you're able to move around in. We want it to be as form-fitting as possible because a lot of our work relies on judging the line of the body and where we come in contact or where we're able to place contact, and so that's important. It shouldn't be too hot because although the theater is kind of cold, as soon as we start moving around for any period of time, you're going to start getting warm. We will start, before we begin today any physical exercise and before every rehearsal, warm-ups. Warming up. Have you all taken a physical education class of some kind throughout your educations? Okay. So I'm not going to run warm-ups necessarily, but we are all going to take times to warm up in whatever way helps you the best. My body functions in a much different way than everybody else's body functions. And you probably know best how to get yourself ready for activity. And so we'll take a period of time where we do not talk and we don't share, but we focus on trying to get bodies prepared and ready for action. And also to make sure that you have a level of personal comfort. Like, don't come if you yourself are not comfortable. Also, we want to make sure to avoid wearing anything that could harm any partners, so no rings, no earrings, no facial jewelry ideally. Does anybody have facial jewelry? Okay, good. Just because during things, particularly grappling or any sort of close contact, it's possible that these things could be torn out, and it's very painful. A part of that is recognizing when these things exist and using safety protocols. The safety protocol for all stage combat begins with respect. So I demand that everybody in here respect everybody and respect one another's times. Part of that is making sure that we all support one another in this endeavor. In reality, the safety for all of us is in each other's hands. And we are one massive team in this endeavor. Typically, battle scenes or any fight in a stage show, you will find typically involve two people doing something relatively simple. Sometimes multiple times because they've already learned some stage combat. But for instance, I just saw Streetcar Named Desire, and there's two really largely physical scenes in that demand a level of stage combat that you provide a level of safety. And that begins at respect. So if I see, or if you see anybody being disrespectful or you feel disrespected, please let me know and we will resolve that issue. This work requires an extreme level of focus. So obviously, we strip ourselves of any distractions in terms of phones. We attempt as much as we can to avoid breaking the process or avoiding the process and focusing on the task at hand. My policy has always been everybody gets one horseplay warning, one and one alone. And the warning is horseplay warning, and that is it. And if I see any breaking from choreography or engagement that I deem dangerous, then you're done. And you're off the cycle. And we'll have you do something non-combative. But for the safety of everyone, we need to ensure that people who are not willing to maintain a level of focus and respect are not endangering those who are willing. If that makes sense.
These are combatants.
Welcome.
That's Squire Dapp, Lancelot Squire, and that's Sir Camelot.
Oh, excellent. We've all said our name, where we're from, our favorite movie, and why. My name is Jeremiah Lind. I'm from Bemidji. My favorite movie is Spartacus because it's long.
My name is Paul. I'm from Jones Township. And favorite movie, probably Princess Bride.
Nice.
Good sir.
Yeah. Excellent.
My name is Becky. I'm with him, so I'm Northern Light Farm to give a flavor to it. And we have to leave in an hour. And my favorite movie is Tonight at Big Sound Music.
Sounds good. Wait, but why?
Oh, why? I love The Hills Are Alive.
Yeah.
The vision and the clouds and the mountains and the hiking and the.
It's good.
I think I want to change mine to Mystery Science Theater 3000.
No changing! Clearly, I didn't get there yet. No, that's good. Okay, so it's on you to learn the entire history of swordplay. You missed it. Okay. Pelennor, does Pelennor actually?
Eleanor, does he actually
I
fight?
think Camelot fights during the Guinevere scene. I don't think he isn't beside Arthur. No, he's down
Okay.
fighting to protect.
Yes. Okay. So the important thing is next week we're going to be doing some basic terms and footwork today. But we're going to stop. Oh, so you have to leave in an hour, you said? Okay. You don't even care about the next hour. But next week we're going to be doing sword and dagger work and hand-to-hand. So make sure to wear comfortable clothing. Oh, and shoes. Shoes also very important. Make sure that you're wearing shoes that aren't going to fly off and that are open-toed because we might be doing work that involves stomps, and I don't want anybody to get hurt. recording everything. Everything is being recorded. This is for your benefit as well as mine. Look this camera up. You're not on camera. I'm on camera. Soon you will be on camera. Or I will be on camera so you can see me and turn back to these recordings if you have questions, or if your memory is hazy, or if you want to reference. So at the end of this session, I will send an email to all of you that includes a link to this video, the document of the terms that we're about to cover, my notes, all the things that we're talking about now, and any personal notes moving forward.
I will send you a fight call group email.
Good. See that you do. Thank you. One note is next week I have some doctor appointment conflicts next week on Friday, so we're going to be doing Saturday again in the evening from 6 to 8. Yes. Yep. Just an evening session to do data and sort.
So that, again, that's only gonna be a 2-hour
Yes.
session?
Yep. And Kurt and I both feel there might be times to make things up, but we probably will be okay. Okay. Questions at this point? No? No questions? Okay. Okay. What I think I want to do then is to get everybody on our feet and to warm up. This is our space. Claim some room as we warm up. I'm going to set a 5-minute timer.
Okay, when you warm up, please be sure to stretch your arms, your shoulders, and your legs. Particularly when you're doing combat, your arm motion is going to be necessary, foot motion, a little bending, so just general overall stretching on up.
Stretch me.
Oh, we passed her up. What happened to the sword I passed around?
It's back by my feet.
Probably someone pocketed it.
Thank you. Hey, are you gonna walk up with?
I did.
You've got 5 minutes.
Anybody do yoga? You know, I asked you to had physical education classes, but the sham, the physical education class is actually very I always really resented it. I don't know if they still do this, but you know, you'd be using butt scooters one week, and then suddenly the teacher's like, okay, now we're gonna run a mile. What? What do you mean? What do you mean we're gonna run a mile? We haven't trained for this. Well, I just told you about it.
Jeremiah, do you want me to bring Mordred in for daggers and swords since he has to hold a dagger and part of the Arthur escape from
feel good.
Who's been smoking in here? Which one of you has been smoking?
Horse just puts out a park. Okay. So not to militarize everything too much, but if I say at ease, just be comfortable. Listen to what I'm saying, and just try to comprehend. When we start getting to actual fighting, the term is on guard. And on guard isn't just a fencing term, it's a term for any time you get into a fight. And it is achieving the fighting stance. So the basic fighting stance, who here, anybody who left-handed? Good. Doesn't matter. It's just asking. But no, you feel more comfortable with a weapon in your left hand, you say? Okay. Good job. All the positions will remain the same for the left hand. You will just have a weapon. Left hand. Nice thing about this system. Everybody right forward. Okay. Now, find a place of balance and comfort there. All combat, all action should come from a place of grounding. So ask yourself, if I were to come up to you right now and push you, would you fall over? Or do you think that you'd be okay? We'll start pushing each other eventually. But I want you to think about that. Think about the amount of energy that it would take to resist someone, and if you have a feeling you're able to do it, then you're in a good position with your legs. Okay? Again, the right foot forward is standard for either left or right. Typically, it's a matter of stance in terms of boxing. Then your upper body, on guard, in hand to hand, is having both hands up. Okay? Now, this is a combat stance. This is not a sports stance, for instance. This is not a karate stance. This is not a taekwondo stance. This is a general fighting stance. Anybody here watch boxing? Didn't think so. Well, it's pretty interesting, if not terribly violent. I wouldn't recommend it. Boxers fight typically with their hands directly towards their face. Everybody has an individual fighting stance, and you need to find yours. And it's somewhere between taekwondo, boxing, and whatever your personal style is. But what it is having your hands available and out in front of you and able to block any sort of attack that comes at you from any given direction. Okay? So, at ease!
That felt good, didn't it?
Yeah, that's good. I don't know. I don't think you guys really want to fight me. Alright, at ease. Welcome back, Dr. Garvin. Every physical action or event comes with a cue. So at some point, when we begin choreographing, everything you should do will be defined by a cue. Okay? What that cue is will act in relation to the script, in relationship to the choreography, in relation to the music and all the action that's occurring. At no time should you do anything off cue. Anytime stage combat is involved, improvisation is not. Because improvisation is how people get hurt. So, remember that term cue. Every piece of choreography will come with a specific action, a specific attack, a specific thing for you to do. It will never be, do what you like, bam, as it were. And the sequence then for our action comes cue, reaction, action. All combat is with other people unless you're doing tumbling. Combat without a person is tumbling or acrobatics, gymnastics. As long as you're working with somebody, you are relying on them to be able to communicate without using words and to remain within the script in doing all that you do. So, part of that is checking in, making eye contact with any partner. Every time you're in any sort of stage combat, the place to begin is the eyes. No action takes place beyond this if there is no eye contact. No eye contact is a cue that you should not be doing anything that you're doing, or that you can't move forward. Okay? The other thing to remember is that you can also say, I'm not going to do this right now, and not do it. That is an option for everybody here. If you feel unsafe, if something's gone wrong in the show, and you don't feel comfortable or safe moving forward, don't do anything. That's why we have eye contact and cues and check-ins to make sure that we avoid moving on action when somebody's not ready or performing something that is unsafe. Weird things happen in shows all the time. I'm very proud of my 100% survival rate, but we have had accidents. Things have happened. Because carries were missed, because cues were missed, and thankfully no one has ever been permanently injured. Except my dude. Oh, no, he's fine. He has this little tiny bone who missed carry. And he razzes me about it every day. But be a better table cooper. Partnering. So everything will be occurring with partners. I know there was a preliminary list, but partnering will also be a component of the script and circumstances that we have going into that final fight. But we are going to partner today, so we're going to focus on just stances and movement. When we start getting into partners, all of the check-ins that we talked about are all going to be applied. On guard! At ease. On guard! You guys are doing. Yeah. At ease. On guard! Good. Distance. Safe distance is the term that we prefer, because safe distance can be established. Every distance between partners is such that we want to establish it and we don't want to vary from it, because we establish our choreography based on that distance, and a deviation from that distance means the difference between having a sword 4 inches away from you or having a sword inside of you. There's something we want to entirely hold. So in terms of safe distance and fighting, everything is going to be defined by an attacker-defender relationship. The attacker will be whoever attacks first in any piece of choreography. The defender will be who responds to that from then moving forward. To establish safe distance for unarmed combat, the typical best way to do it, you please just relax as you review. Oh shit. You are, right now we are at a safe distance, and that is because I cannot touch him. I get into a fight stance, I cannot reach him. No matter how hard I may try, I am unable to reach him with my blows. I continue trying to slap him, punch him, but no matter what, I will never reach him because we've established a safe distance. Does that make sense? And the reason that's important, on guard. Now, if I were to go on guard then, from where we're at, and I take a step forward, we now change distances. I'm now probably 3 inches closer because I took a simple step forward with my stance. So we always want to make sure that we establish a distance and maintain that distance. And it's important to be able to maintain it. And there are places you can check in, there are places that you can establish it on the stage and with your partner, and we'll go over those as we move towards partner choreography. Enemies. On guard! Enemies. On guard! Enemies. Safe distance cues. Center lines. So there are two center lines on every body. There is a horizontal and a vertical line. The vertical line transects your body from up to down, directly center. They say every human is lopsided, but in theory, we all have a center point that goes down the middle. This is important when establishing line or line pattern. We also have a horizontal center line, and that horizontal center line is defined as our belt. That is the goal line that we try to establish, or waistline if you don't wear a belt. So, so the first thing, and the most important thing, in terms of what we just talked about, safe distance, is establishing our footwork. Just being able to move around in a consistent and choreographed way. So, I'm going to need everybody to line up, I'm afraid. Again, I'm militaristic. But I want to start over here, because don't go as far as this. We're only going to be going backwards and forwards. Okay, so come this way. Everybody should be able to put up their right arm without punching their neighbor in the side, if that's possible. If it's not possible, don't break too much. Okay.
He wants you to be able to do this and not touch me.
Which is impossible. So, from here on, could I have you move back? Good. And then, yeah, reestablish the line, find your space. I think that should be enough that everybody should be able to get an arm out.
Move down a little bit, can't dress right. Now can't dress right.
Plenty of room for one more person back here.
Yeah, you're good.
Hey, try to just look at the back row.
Good. Okay.
Alright.
Okay, arms down, just relax. Let's take a moment, I'll move you around, everybody be calm. Okay. Now on up! Good. No, stay on top. We did it. No, it was good, it was good. Okay. The first piece of movement that we're going to do is called the advance. It is exactly the same as a fencing advance. The advance is not a step forward. It is a spring off of the back foot forward. Does that make sense? There's a difference. So, an advance looks thus. Okay? And then there is a unadvancing. No, retreat. All we're going to be practicing for a little while is advancing and retreating, because it's the most fundamental movement. So, under. Got nervous? Okay. So, yeah, let's do it together at first, and then I'll call them out. So, advance. Retreat. Advance. Retreat. Advance. Okay. So avoid stepping and then bring your foot back. That's a different move. Advance, off back. Retreat, bounce on back. Energy all comes from whatever foot isn't moving. So, advance. Retreat. 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 Good. Try not to hop. Just bring it up. Retreat. Advance. Advance. Advance.
Advance. Retreat. 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 Advance. Advance. Retreat. Advance. Good. Go a little lower. Help you be able to spring. Get a little bit wider stand. Advance. Good. Try not to get too far forward with your body. Torso's forward, so good. All six distance. Try to stay a little bit up. Good. Retreat. 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 Advance. 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 At ease. Okay. Good. One thing to avoid, you want to make sure to, after each advance, retreat, to again find your center point, a point of balance. So if you advance, you're anticipating going to another advance. Don't keep your weight on this forward foot. Reestablish your contact with the ground. On guard. Advance. Retreat. Retreat. Retreat, retreat. Good. Advance. 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 On guard! Ha ha ha! Gotcha, you're already on guard. Okay, and so, obviously, people don't walk like that. And obviously, people do things different with their legs. But the advantage of the advance and retreat in choreography is that it establishes that distance. So, you're on guard, and I'm on guard, and we know how many feet between us are established. As long as we make sure that our advances and retreats are covering the same amount of distance, then we know that we're at the same distance. So even if we have sort of pointed at each other, it's not going to be dangerous for us to move on the stage. Then there are other foot movements. On guard. The first cross step movement is what we call a pass. Comes from the French passe. And it's when you take your back leg and bring it forward, replacing your front leg. Making sure not to redistribute your weight, but just changing whichever leg is forward in your stance. Okay? Now from here, if I'm going to advance, I'm going to advance from this leg forward. So, say movement, again, I'm springing off the back foot, just whatever foot is behind. Okay? On guard! Yeah. On guard is always your right foot forward. Easy. Good. Find that place of comfort where you feel your weight grounded. Advance. Advance. Retreat. Retreat. Pass. Nice. No, it's just bringing your foot forward, but when I say it like pass, it's weird. Retreat. It's going to feel a little bit weaker. Take your time. Okay. On guard. Good. Yeah. You all look ready to fight. Okay, ready? Advance. If you're going to leap off the stage, don't listen to me. Retreat. 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 At ease. Slip. Well, give them the slip. Okay, the slip is kind of a fun move. Under! The slip is also a fencing foot move, but it's kind of fancy-like. And it actually is referenced in the English term, we gave them the slip, because what it does is it moves your body out of the way of any potential attack. So the slip is taking your rear leg and moving it behind your throat. Under. Again, so the slip, I'm going to do, okay, and the other term that I'm going to do with this one is recover. Now when I say recover, whatever your position is, it returns to the on guard stance. Okay? On guard. Advance. Advance. Combatants to the stage! Goes wrong, if it goes right, you hit the ground, you're not hurt very much. And if it goes wrong, you break arms, hurt, dislocated the shoulder in the show, you get some scenery and fall. Had to go the rest of the show with arm and length until he got it. If you go to the emergency room, kind of attack. The people with broken wrists, people with broken elbows, as well as ankle, physical injury, so falling is really important. And essentially, it's the closest thing ever, right? It's falling. You know, everybody can fall. Have a bigger stage or a food stage, you know? That's all you do is fall. that are particularly difficulties, engines have particular dangers, engines have a particular value in state combat. So the first thing I want to do is the reversal paintball. And it is sort of complex. It's thinking in a way that gets you to the ground quickly and effectively and safely from wherever you were at. And this ball is important in places where you have no area. This is a giant ladder stage that some of you in your acting careers might perform in places the size of Apollo. And in that case, you need to be able to fall at a very tiny place because you don't will fall off. So the paintball, take a look at it and then paintball is coming. And the paintball, the most important thing is establishing which leg is going to go down first. And in state combat, I tend to do what I'm trying to do, as the leg is going to bring you to the ground. And it's a pivot and lowering yourself to the ground as far as you possibly go. Like a game, we're all going to do a little bit. And the game is how close can you get to the ground before you make impact. Does that make sense? The place you want to make impact is the side and rear of your body, where you have the most protection. As opposed to the side, which has your hips pretty close to the surface, or the tail. I think you really want to put the tail on the impact and one body. Any of those places make the impact across the bad. So, if I'm going to paint, my rear leg is going to bring me to the ground. I'm going to twist my body, it's going to lower me. That water's going down. I'm going to start wherever up in that. It doesn't have to be paint, well, it will be line ball. Yeah. We're calling paint, we're trying to talk about this. So, you all see that? Again, thing is deception. So if I'm going to paint, I'm not just going to paint. But the game is, in slow motion, how slowly can you get yourself to the ground safely before any part of you looks concentrated. I understand that body hitting the ground. Like that. Okay. Everything up, so I actually won't see that. I was laying down this time. Okay. So, one quarter speed. As slow as you think it looks without, or you should feel silly with how slow you're going. So, everybody go. Feel comfortable. Okay. Yeah, sorry, one thing's taken into consideration as people around us. Okay, you all make really great corpses, so that's good. We're doing right, everybody! Okay, try to spread out just a little bit more so that you aren't falling on top of each other. Yeah, yep. And use that whole back space. So, oh, I'm painting out, sir. Good. Good. I thought some good things happening. One thing I can see more of is a twisting of the body. Because as you're going down, it's difficult to just lower yourself on one leg without adding a twist. And the other thing it does is exposes whichever side of the body you're going to make contact with the contact surface. The thing you want to avoid is coming down and knee first. Knee first is the worst. At the very least, you want to try and aim some sort of body. And again, that back leg brings you down as far as you can get before hitting down. Okay, good. I think to try this effectively, we may have to go one more minute. So, yeah, that's all things. So, here, we'll stick to the action. And my line would be these days. And then you think, okay? So I'll start over here. Okay? Okay.
Very nice. That's good. Good. Yeah, no, one thing, okay, whenever we try to roll our back, always try to go for either side. Doesn't matter which side. But the thing we're trying to avoid is, like when you roll down, your spine is supposed to go, and you want to avoid it getting that big in the front. It's not kind of pick one side and go. Another thing you want to avoid with this at every fall is landing on your hand. Okay? Because anytime you impact with your hand, there's a chance for your wrist to break. That's a good thing, yeah. Try to avoid doing it. Again, just trying to hit the side when you roll back. That's a nice roll. That was a sideways ball. That was not a pink ball. It's good. Try to, if you're doing a side ball, as opposed to twisting your body with it, that's fine. But again, make sure whatever leg you're falling on gets to the ground as much as possible before we make that impact. Good. You're so happy as far as telling the students. Forward ball. No, back ball. Backward ball first. That's dangerous. Backward falling is falling backwards. That's not good similar to the feint ball or vertical ball, you're going to use your rear leg to get yourself to the ground in the majority of the time. And all you're doing is just getting as far down as you possibly can before making an impact. Get that. I was laying down. Okay. So again, show you that. One thing you can use also is your hands. Your hands can be used as balance, and also when they're out front, they can't be behind. Again, this is something we want to absolutely avoid, trying to use our hands to break our ball in. Because our hands is higher. One of the actions is broke for wrist. At least a wrist. Falling backstage, because we caught ourselves with our forearms, and then it's a whole but it's surprising how little impact of the ground it takes to splinter the bone in your arm. So, if at all possible, you want to try to keep your arms out and use that back leg to get as far down as possible. Then pick the side of the body as opposed to exposing that whole spine. Good. Very good. So this ball would be used for all sorts of things. Dying, mostly. And again, like you wouldn't just be suddenly, with the acting incorporated, you would be. And then, that only girls too. But yeah, key points to remember are you want to try to use whatever leg you're bringing down, as far down as possible, and the impact you want to make for the back side and one side. Those are really key considerations, and avoiding that. Most important, avoiding that. Second most important, impacting with something soft. Third most important, protect spinal cord. Everybody feel comfortable with that? Okay, I think everyone else. Does anybody feel uncomfortable with that? Or does anybody feel forward ball too? The forward ball, again, we're going to do it incredibly slow. And if anybody has joint problems, don't try to fall.
material on a solid surface creates a liquid barrier around that bone. Your body tends to protect itself. So what that does is push apart ligaments and bone to the point where yes, eventually you're going to break the fingers. And you go down and you stay there and then come. There you go home. Have pressure. So when we start doing forward falls, it doesn't matter what your hands do. The function of your hands are twofold. One, to not touch the ground before you're moved to, and the other is to provide you balance on your way down. And you want to get to the point where you make no sound. Virtually no sound in the hand. Too loud! The test for this fall is how quietly can you kneel on the ground. And we practice as slowly and deliberately as possible in order to find how we can do that. There's a process. That's what it takes to call it. So, pickleball learning is about terrain theater. And again, so hands out of the way, try to get yourself down with no impact. This is how you practice the warm-up for any forward ball. Before any rehearsal in combat ball, including this production, there is what's called a fight ball. And anybody who does any combat is expected to run their fight before the show begins. And a forward ball would be considered within that fight ball. Because again, this is something that when your adrenaline goes, you're just like, I'll throw myself to the ground, I'll hurl myself around, and people will love it. But without knowing how quickly, with the impact and the strength of how quickly you're going down, it can be very dangerous. And your hands are typically used in a fashion in conjunction with choreography when there were circumstances. So that it works out that you can balance yourself. Ah! Shoot me in the face! And it's like, oh, punch it but the action obfuscates however slowly you fall to the ground. Okay, we're essentially at time. I want to take this time for questions. Everybody has to have a question. What's our question? Why do I sometimes dream about goats? Oh, I guess I have to back to the dictionary because I think it has something to do with Virginia Gatsby.
Did he say ghosts or goats?
Question. Depends on if you believe in my little pony canon. Next question. Oh, I think it's the way they move. So calling up a lecture whether they get four times. Question.
Why are those seats red?
Oh, I think these are all donated from someplace.
Tennessee.
Donated from Tennessee?
They went down to the baseball.
Yeah. And it's all funded by people who put their names on the third list. Funded by people who put their names on. Good question. Question. That handball thing back. They do give up. And in fact, I get that inflated. I think that I have sleep apnea, and sometimes I wake up and it feels like I have something stuck out of that. Worst day. Question.
Why do people think it's weird that I let spiders crawl all over me and I like spiders?
Okay, yeah, that's my best friend Zach. He keeps trash of it. He lives in Thailand for a while, and he actually saved the trash from being eaten. The guys were looking at trash. Last thought. Go on, like. Question.
How many shows have you choreographed?
I would say, 7 or 8. Romeo and Juliet, Titus and Andronicus, 20th century play, Fort Harry's, Camelot. So yeah, I would say 7 or 8. And then I've also done workshops for small things. Question. Question.
water, but no. Next question. Well, I mean, really, really close, but,
One question that you have, obviously, this is all the fall, which is kind of neat, don't have more to do, but.
I fall under
It's like,
yeah. We were avoid, because of hands, we would avoid, in my view, I could do what was referred to as a forward roll, where I would just do a complete forward facing and then I would go forward. So I'm not going to do that now. Next time, maybe I'll do that fall. But yeah, you can continue to fall forward then, keeping in mind, ideally you would hit your knees and then fall. That would be six of you as well. Good question. Only question I can think of. Question! I guess technically it's one of my own creations. Called the swashbuckler rule. It's a 3-point fight to knock down, bring out, or disarm. So, that's pretty hardcore. My second favorite would be Saber. Question. It's like a bardic Kundo, I guess. That was a TV shirt, but yeah. Yeah, I'm like a split down the middle one. 12 paladin. Inspire self. Aha! That's it. Okay.
Can we bring it back to unraveling?
Oh, okay, everybody. Promotional photo. Everybody give me your own guard face.